Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cannon Chat here on AFC Game by Game, the second instalment of the feature where me and Was the Gooner try to shed some positivity on what has been Arsenal's depressing performances in recent weeks. Tonight, we'll be reflecting on the performance against Chelsea, taking a brief look ahead to that game against Hull City on Saturday against Marco da Silva's men, and also taking a very quick look ahead to that game against Bayern Munich. But we might as well jump straight in with it. That game against Chelsea, absolutely horrendous. You're at the game. What did you make of it, mate?
It still hurts, mate. It still hurts. It's a culmination of previous years of the same kind of performances, the same kind of end product, the same kind of results. But I mean, I know we'll go in and talk about the game more in depth, but realistically, it's the first time I've ever sort of left the stadium feeling completely dejected and really that we were bullied. And although I've experienced the defeat off the recent past going to the bridge and that, but my God, it honestly did feel really, really bad. And walking out the ground after the game, walking along it, all the thousands of Chelsea just giving you abuse, and you just, what can you do? It was the first time ever I was sort of despondent, and I still kind of feel that way. I've been moping about a bit this week, and it really has got me down for a number of reasons. But I think the biggest reason was the harsh reality is that it really was men against boys, and we just didn't compete.
No, definitely not. And for the first time ever, I'm actually checking the live comments that we've got on this video. First one is Wenger out, and the following one after that is just Wenger out. Do you think that might be a bit telling of what's going on with Arsenal at the minute?
There's lots of frustrations in and around the club, right from the top right to the bottom, mate. And I think the issue with a lot of people at the moment is the repetitiveness of what we're seeing. And it's not just this season. We're seeing the similar results season after season. And I'm sure we'll talk a bit more later about Wenger's current situation and where we go and all that. But, I mean, with regards to the Chelsea game, it was just so upsetting. And I know it's very raw at the moment, and there's still a lot of people. And I think there might have been a bit of a swing between a majority and a minority. And I think it's more to do with the repetitiveness of the situation and people just realising, look, the same things are happening season in, season out. And as much as we love Arsene Wenger, something's got to happen.
Yeah, I think the most depressing part about the whole situation is we've seen that game against Chelsea for the past 5 years in a row. Apart from that time when we beat them 5-3, then, I mean, we've seen that game over and over again. It's the exact same with Watford. When we spoke about that game, we've seen that performance, that result. I mean, 9 times out of 10 the past couple of seasons. It really is just, you've got to say at a point, it's a mentality thing, because, and you know, that's blatantly obvious. We know that now. But with the squad that we've got, with the players that we've got in abundance, we should no doubt be competing with this Chelsea side. But they were just unbelievably better than us on the day. And it's even more saddening when you look back to September when we put 3 past them and we look like the team that we're going to go on this season. But this whole campaign has been so reminiscent of last season, where we beat Man United by 3-0. And then in the exact same, this time last year when we lost that game to Man United 3-2, Marcus Rashford had a blinder. I mean, it really is depressing talking about it in a way. But, I mean, let's talk about the game itself, because there were things that are worth talking about. First of all, we went into the game with slightly altered tactics. We started with what appeared to be Mesut Ozil on the left-hand side, a 3-pronged midfield with Mesut Ozil, Oxlade-Chamberlain and Francis Coquelin, Alexis Sanchez up top, Theo Walcott on the right-hand side. And you would think where we tried to bolster that midfield that bit more and try to compete with Chelsea, it came right back in our face. It didn't work for us at all in the slightest. Why do you think we weren't able to compete with Chelsea in this game?
I found it so strange. When I saw the lineup, we had talked for weeks and weeks and weeks before the game about maybe going to a 4-3-3 to try and combat Chelsea. And before the game, I was down the pub and a couple of Chelsea mates of mine were going to the game as well. And I was with them and I was having a chat with them. And basically, I said to them, I said, look, we, as a consensus of the Arsenal fans, we all agree that, I mean, if you're looking at a front three of Welbeck, Sanchez, Walcott, I think the best way to get at Chelsea is get in behind Alonso and Moses and get them going the other way and drag your centre-backs out of position. And they've said to me, they said, look, Tottenham done it. They said all the big teams that have beat them done exactly the same thing. And Gary Cahill is not comfortable in wider areas. And I just looked at the team and I thought, right, okay, when it kicked off, he has gone 4-3-3, but he had Mesut Ozil on the left and he tucked Iwobi in, and straight away I could see the danger signs. And really, we didn't start too badly. Iwobi had a little curler from a little effort outside the box, didn't he? And we weren't too bad. But the first goal just sort of emphasised the whole worries that I had about playing that sort of way and being tucked in on that left, because it's almost footballing suicide, because we've seen Chelsea all season dominate from them wide areas and utilise the fullbacks and get in great positions. But the first goal was so painful to see, with Iwobi and Mesut tucked in, and Nacho had to press the ball. It gets played past him. As a result, Koscielny gets sucked across. Then everyone shuffled across one, and that obviously, as we know, leaves Hector Bellerin at first marking Diego Costa for the header, and then eventually there's no one there, and it's a free header for Alonso. But that's all because of everyone getting shuffled across, in my opinion. And we knew that left side was going to be important, and we knew the right side was going to be important. We didn't seem to react to it, and that was the most frustrating thing for me, because at the time I could see it developing, and I could see Ozil and Iwobi tucked in, and I could see Monreal getting sucked in. I was thinking, oh no, it's happening again. It's the same thing. And when you do watch it back, it don't get any easier. And to have Hector Bellerin marking the centre forward so unnecessarily, Mustafi pushed across on the near post, and we were just out of the game. And we do it to ourselves, don't we? And it's a tactical thing again. And we look at individuals for the Chelsea team, and we can look at how our individuals perform. But time and time again, we look at it, and really they were the better drilled side, and they knew our weaknesses, and they preyed on it immediately. And once they did get the goal, then, well, Bellerin coming off as well didn't help, did it? But really, we were on an uphill struggle from then on.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned there that we started the game brightly, and I certainly agree in saying that. I mean, it's not the first time that I've actually seen us start well at Stamford Bridge in recent years. I think that game back in 2014-15, we actually started quite brightly when we had Aaron Ramsey playing on the right-hand side. I thought that was, a bit similar to this game at the weekend. But it was a shame that the minute that goal went in, we just capitulated. It was just like, it's kind of as if the team were accepting that a defeat was on the cards. It was 15 minutes in. We had so much more time to get a goal back in this game. But I think more than anything, it was Hector Bellerin coming off for Gabriel. And in fairness to Gabriel, I mean, I don't think he did awfully at right back. I mean, I think he's been a decent player in that position. In fact, I'd say that he's had some of his better performances in an Arsenal shirt at right back. But at the end of the day, he's not a right back, and a game away from home at Stamford Bridge, I mean, it's fine when we're playing West Ham or whatever, when they're on an awful run of form, but when we're playing top of the league away from home, and arguably our biggest game of the season, it's not really acceptable to have Gabriel playing at right back. But Bellerin, him coming off, took so much fluidity out of our game. But I think we've got to talk about that goal just in brief, because it's been speculated on for so long now, and I haven't heard your thoughts on it yet. For you, was it a foul on Hector Bellerin?
I was going absolutely ballistic in the stadium, and I thought it was a foul. To be fair, not many people in the ground did, and I was sort of in a minority, but I was adamant that I thought it was a foul. And when I've watched it back, I can see why people don't think it's a foul, but I still do. I think that Alonso had full eyes on Bellerin's position. He knew exactly what he was doing. Yes, you've got to jump with your arms, but for me, it's excessive force, and at the end of the day, he's jumped up, arm raised. Look, I personally think if it was at the other end, and if it was anywhere else on the pitch, it would have been interesting, because I think the referee would have given it as a foul. If it's outside the box, I think he'd give a foul, and if it was an Arsenal lad going in at the other end at Stamford Bridge, I reckon he might have been a foul as well. So it's touch and go though, and it's down to referee's perception of the situation. But even that aside, I thought Petr Cech again was up very, very slow. It seemed to be in the air for about 20 minutes, that ball, and poor old Hector, he really got caught under it, and Alonso was stronger and he was quicker to the ball. But when you lead with the arm, it's always a dangerous game to play, and as a result, Hector Bellerin sort of taken off the pitch, and he was in a bit of a bad way, wasn't he? So I personally do think it was a foul. I can understand why people don't, but when I look back at it, and at the time I was going mental, and even when I look back, I still thought, well, yeah, I've still got the same opinion. So it was a bit unlucky from my point of view, but it's still a terrible goal to concede, and it was something that we could have definitely avoided by just slightly tweaking the way we were playing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was unacceptable the way that first goal went in. Just the defending all round, Monreal, as you say, getting sucked in, Koscielny getting sucked in, Theo Walcott not marking Marcos Alonso, practically just watching Hector Bellerin, take the blame for that. It was very brave of Bellerin, by the way. I think that should be noted. That he's done really well to go up against Diego Costa, and then Marcus Alonso, both players that are considerably bigger than him in that sense. But I mean, I don't want to touch on the Chelsea game too much because we know what happens next. We know Eden Hazard scores a wonder goal. We know Cesc Fabregas goes on to score against his former club. We know Giroud gets a consolation goal for us. But I want to open it up to the bigger picture and where this leaves us now. Because, I mean, as we've spoken many a time in the past, we're bored of seeing this with Arsenal. And, you know, I'm not even surprised remotely by what happened at the weekend. Not in the slightest, because I'm at an age now where I've seen that game many a time in the past. But where do we go from here in terms of finishing out this season with Arsene Wenger being offered a new 2-year contract? I mean, for you, does he sign it? Does he? Or if he doesn't sign it, does he come out and say, I'm leaving at the end of the season? Does he bring this whole speculation to an end? Because this is, at a point, it's got to be having an effect on the team.
Don't forget, we've been in this situation before with when he signed his last deal. And look, the thing is with Arsene Wenger, like I think you really hit the nail on the head. And we've spoken about it before, about being bored of Wenger and just seeing the same repetitive nature of the results. And like I said, I was so despondent at the weekend. I've never, ever felt... I stood there at full time just sort of contemplating what is going on here. And it's so frustrating because we know individuals. You look at our squad, it's fantastic. He's built a wonderful squad. And Arsene is a wonderful man and a wonderful manager, and he's give this club so much. And just touching on my view on Arsene Wenger, I think that it breaks my heart to see the situation end up how it has, and the man's done more for me as a football fan, not just the football side of things, as an actual man, and listening to him talk as a philosopher and as someone who's so intelligent. He's taught me so much in life and to do with the game. But at the end of the day, football's a sport where you want to be winning trophies, you want to be competing, and you want to be developing and doing things to the best of your abilities. And Arsene took this club from not a poor club, not a mid-table club. We were still a top club, but he took us on levels, and he oversaw, won the titles, the Invincibles, phenomenal. Then, for me, his biggest achievement was overseeing the move to the Emirates. I mean, it's so underrated what he done there, and it's often underappreciated because it was an incredible feat to keep us up there, keep us a big club, keep us competing year in, year out, selling our best players, having to regenerate the money from the squad, not having any money for any funds. And when you look back at some of them teams where he kept us in the top four with people like Scolacci and it's just incredible. But for me, then we signed Mesut Ozil, and that was sort of where the release was. And we went on, won the FA Cup that season, didn't do too much in Europe and in the league again. And the following season, Alexis Sanchez, and you're thinking, wow, like, come on, Arsene, this is your time now. And he's earned them years. We had them 9 years without a trophy. He earned them 100%. I fully backed him, give him everything I had. And I still love him, obviously, now. But after the Sanchez season, where, again, we flattered to deceive in the league, we've done very little in Europe. And, yes, we won another FA Cup. That was when it hit me. I sort of thought to myself, right, something's got to happen here now, because we've had 2 years of it. We've gone into the third season, and we were the only club in the top 5 leagues in Europe not to sign an outfield player. And you're thinking, how, Arsene? Like, how have we've signed Ozil, we've signed Sanchez, and now we're here. And then we went through that season. Flamini played over 20 games. We know what happened. Leicester won the league by 10 points. We were embarrassed by Watford in the Cup. Nothing in the Champions League. And then last season, that was for me when it really went. When I really thought, look, something's got to change. And so we knew we was with him again this season. So give him the benefit of the doubt. And now we're looking in the 4th season of Arsene really overcoming that stage. And I just think football's moved on. And I don't want to say it's moved on beyond him, because I think Arsene himself took the Premier League into an era that wasn't there previously. And he changed the face of football, and he changed certainly the face of Arsenal Football Club, the way we approach the game. But I just think when you look at managers now like Conte and all these tacticians who are coming in and taking bang average players like Victor Moses and Marcus Alonso, if I'm brutally honest, I look at our squad man for man and we're right up there. And they've just got a system, they've got a way of playing it, they're implementing it, and they're getting the best out of their players. And we just don't seem to have an identity anymore. And I just personally think, from seeing the same repetition of results and the same things happening year after year, this is the 4th season Arsene's had the money after signing Ozil. And and we're seeing the same things. And I really, personally, if it was my choice now, I would like Arsene to go in the summer, and I would like him, like you mentioned, I would like him to come out and sort of say, look, this is going to be my last season. The players are fully aware of what's happening. There's going to be a new manager lined up, so that can aid the Sanchez and Ozil deals going through or not. And also, any future possible buyers, they'll want to know what's going on. And at the moment, it's in a bit of limbo, isn't it? And we've been in this situation before, and I just think one way or another, I mean, at the moment, the way I feel, I'd be gutted. And it pains me to say it, I'd be gutted if Arsene signed a new deal, and I knew he was there for another 2 more years regardless, because I just think we need to change the direction. And I'd have a statue of him at the end of my bed, mate. You know, and you and me have both seen mostly our whole Arsenal lives, Arsene Wenger's Arsenal, and what a bloke he is, and everything he's done, he can't be thanked enough, and he deserves all the praise. I'd name a stand after him at the Emirates, but I just think that football's moving beyond Arsene Wenger now, and Arsenal as a club need to react before people like Tottenham, people like Chelsea, all these new stadiums, all this new money coming into the game, the Premier League deals. Clubs are catching up with us, and soon we're going to be out of the top 5, out of the top 6, unless we react now. And I'm not worried about the future. I'm not scared about the future, because whoever comes in, Arsene Wenger has, number one, left them a phenomenal squad, and number two, left the club in an unbelievable position. But personally, mate, for me, yes, I do think, thank you very much, Arsene, but realistically, we need to see something different, mate.
No, fantastic answer there, mate. Really, really fantastic. I think, personally speaking, above all things, Arsene Wenger deserves respect, because that's not what I've seen enough of. Whatever happens, whatever your opinion is of him, I think he's done. Well, I know he's done so much for this club growing up. I mean, I've admired the guy. He's, as you say, he's a fantastic man, and you know, he's given his life to Arsenal Football Club. The best years of his life he's given to this team, and I can guarantee that he cares more about this club than certain fans do. So that's why I think he deserves respect above all things. I know it's not an opinion that's going to necessarily be agreed with, but his tenure has been, for the most part, untouchable in a way. He really has been sensational. But at this stage, where, as you say, he's got the funds implemented into the squad, and we've got this fantastic plethora of players, we've got a team that should be challenging. The frustrating thing above all things for me is we're still playing the same type of football we were when we had Yossi Benayoun, Emmanuel Frimpong, Denilson, that kind of squad. But fantastic comment as well, saying that we've got the most versatile team in the country, essentially, because if you do look at the options we've got, we could line up in so many different formations going into different games. And in a way, I hate to say it, but I'm a little bit envious of what Chelsea are doing with Antonio Conte. Seeing him run into the fans when they scored that second goal, I mean, that was really heart-wrenching in a way. Because
the thing is, Cookie, you see the way he reacted to, as soon as we brought Welbs on, you see he reacted straight away, and he brought Kurt Zouma on, because he can see things quickly, Conte. He's not an idiot. Like, I'm not saying Arsene is an idiot, but he's lacking his in-game management. He doesn't see things quick enough. He's sort of almost as if it's almost as if 3 days before the game he's got his starting 11, he's got his subs, and he knows what minute they're coming on.
I think that's it though. I think that's exactly what it is. I'm almost certain that he's got his starting 11 implemented,
and he's just not flexible enough, mate. And then when I see things like that, I see Welbeck come on and he's straight away, he's on the ball. I heard Clive say it, and it was true. I could see him straight away driving at him. You're thinking, that's what we wanted. That's what we wanted to see Arsenal do. Get in at these fullbacks, get these centre backs running. And as soon as he sees that, Conte, he sees us getting a foothold in the game, he thinks, right, hang on a minute. Got Kurt Zouma on the bench. He's a beast. He's mobile. He can match Welbeck stride for stride with pace. He's strong enough. I'm going to make the change. And he just reacts to things quicker. And it's just frustrating. And like you said, we're very envious. And we've seen even managers like Pochettino, and there's so many of them that now are just, they're just very, they're reactive, but they've also got a style and a way of playing, and they can adapt. And like you said, that comment was fantastic, because we have, man for man, we are very, very versatile. And I think in game we could switch between formations. If we had someone who could do it, I mean, I'm not talking like I know what I'm talking about. I'm just a fan with a rubbish opinion. But if there's a professional man out there that can, during games, see and analyse situations, think, right, what can we do here? Certainly, we've got a squad of all different shapes and sizes and players and pace. And so, yeah, we just want to see it, mate, don't we, at the end of the day? No, like you said, no disrespect to Arsene, but surely now we've got to start asking questions.
you just want to see something different. That's the bottom line. I've not known anything different with Arsene Wenger, and I would love to see him try something else. I think the first time that I really got excited by Arsene Wenger was when I was 18, and it was that game away from home against Manchester City when we lined up with Coughlin and Cazorla for the first time. That was when I first thought, "Hang, he's done something different there." You know, we're playing on the counter, and we're actually getting results. That was the first time I thought to myself, you know what, this team is adapting, and we're finally starting to see Arsene Wenger do something different. But now he's spending all this money. It's kind of as if we've gone back into our shell a little bit, and that's sad in a way, because he is such a fantastic manager, and he's got such a tactical nous going forward, but he just can't adapt. He's got too much faith in certain players. He's got too much trust in his team, and I think, to be frank, as harsh as it is to say, I think his methods are very outdated in this day and age. It's got to be taken into consideration that the likes of Conte, Pochettino, I mean, they haven't got grey hair. I mean, that they are with the times at the minute. And I mean, coming up to 70 now, Arsene Wenger, I really do think that we, at a point, need to see a fresh approach, because it is starting to get tiresome. It really is getting tiresome, especially when you feel that we're wasting the best years of Ozil, Alexis. I mean, even someone like Olivier Giroud, I feel like he deserves a little bit more. But I mean, we've got such a good team, and it is sad that we're not up there competing with Chelsea, because the exact same as last season, we've got the caliber of players to do it. It's just a mentality thing. And I mean, let's talk briefly about potential replacements for Arsene Wenger. The big one that's been mentioned is Allegri of Juventus. Is he someone that you'd like to see come in?
Like you said, mate, I think like many people, I think we're just a bit bored of it now, and I'm willing to take it sounds very, very naive and very stupid as a football fan, but I'm willing to take a risk with someone. And I mean, personally, I would prefer someone like Allegri, who's won league titles, do you know what I mean, competed at the highest level. That's what I want to see at our football club. I think that's what the whole point of this Emirates move, and the whole point of signing Ozil and Sanchez, the whole point of being the 7th richest club in the world, is so we can compete on them levels. And why not get someone in like that? And we've seen Guardiola go, we've seen Klopp go, we've seen Conte go, we've seen Mourinho. I mean, we've seen all these managers move clubs, and we've not reacted. And now, really, Ancelotti even, there's managers all over the shop changing hands, and we've got to play our cards at some point. And yeah, it might be a few seasons. It might take 2-3 seasons to bed someone in, or we might only have someone there for 2-3 seasons. He might win the title and he might want to leave. But it's just got to the stage where football's changed so much, like you said, and we really do need to take a risk with, and I say a risk, but whoever does come into the job, like I said earlier, is going to, I mean, what a job to walk into. There's bags of money there to spend, and no one can deny that. That's true. We've got a fantastic stadium. We're the 7th richest club in the world. There's investors all over the place that want to be involved in Arsenal. We've got Mesut Ozil, we've got Alexis Sanchez. We sell out every away following, week in, week out. We're a well-supported club. What a place to come and enjoy your football. The unbelievable training ground. This job is perfect for a massive manager, and we just need to act like a big club, because Wenger's put us on the map as a big club, and unfortunately on the pitch we're not acting like a big club, and also to some extent Arsene in the transfer market isn't really with wages and deals like that. He's not acting like a big club. But whoever comes in next needs to realise they're going to take control of a big club here. And I'm not saying take a risk on someone like David Moyes, like United did, because they tried to get him for the longevity. But definitely someone like Allegri would interest me, and it's interesting to see that he's a manager with lots of different tactical styles, and he could implement all different types of things during games. But yeah, Allegri's a great shout. Me and you could talk for days and days about managers, but until you get someone in and you give them time to have their say on the squad, like Conte did, he sized them up, saw the players, changed formation, bosh. And you never know. Things could happen. But I'm not worried who comes in next. I'm just more worried that we're going to serenely float down the river and miss the boat on someone good.
I mean, I'm not so much worried as I am excited for what's next, because you know, I'm 20 years old. Arsene Wenger's been at Arsenal 20 years. I do. A big part of me wants to see something else. As difficult as it's going to be to let go to his legacy, I do feel like we're at a point now where a fresh approach is very much needed. But let's not make this out to be a whole thing about Arsene Wenger and, you know, whether he should get booted out of the door or not, because I think in the bigger picture, the board have got something to say as well. because they're not football people. We've gone from an era of having the likes of David Dean on the boards to Stan Kroenke, who's more interested in his shares in America, etc. But I mean, do you think that the likes of Gazidis, Kroenke are accountable for what's going on at the moment?
They are, to an extent, mate. I think the issue for me is that, look, the money's there, which frustrates me because I don't think Wenger's ever not been backed in the transfer market since the Mesut Ozil signing. We know the funds are there. It's clear as day the funds are there. And something like last season where you see us, like I said, in the summer, I mean, we went into a season with Arteta, who was 33, who had been with chronic injuries, and Mathieu Flamini, who can't even get in a Palace squad like a few months later. And you're thinking, why Arsenal? Like, why are we doing this? Like, Arsene Wenger clearly had belief in his squad, but there should be someone above him going, come off it, fella. Are you serious? Like, you cannot rely on Arteta and Flamini this season. And as a result, I honestly look at it and I think we went out and bought El Neni in the winter just to stop the slide, really, mate, just to stop the landslide. And if we had gone out and signed Xhaka at the start of last season, who knows? But with regards to the board, one thing I would say is I think the money has always been there and they do back him, but because they're getting their money, they don't really care what happens on the pitch. And until the day comes that we're not in the top four and we're not selling out the Emirates, then maybe only then will they start pushing whoever's in charge. But it's so sad that we're in a situation where the manager feels so comfortable that he can have full control of absolutely everything and full trust, providing he gets into a certain top four and a financial bracket. And we've got owners there that, yes, they will supply him with the money, but they're not that bothered if he don't go out and spend it, as long as he reaches the target. And us fans, the ones who pay and go every week, we're the ones who are suffering from it. And that's the thing, this whole time for change thing, I think it's not just aimed at Arsene, it's throughout the club, because something needs to change, like you said. And it really, like you see Abramovich come in, and at the time we're all like, I'll be gone in a few years. And you see he's at every game now, and he loves Chelsea. You can see he does. And whatever you say about him, he's stuck there and he's still pumping the money in. He's still backing the managers and he still cares. But like you say, there's such a disinterest in our football club from the hierarchy, and there's no pressure on Arsene Wenger whatsoever. And it's really a mess at the moment, mate. And I remember, I don't know if you saw the comments from Ancelotti saying that I don't think he would want to manage our club because of the hierarchy, because of what they are and what they stand for. People like Stan Kroenke. And I don't know, it is a bigger picture, but looking on the pitch for the last 2-3 years, that's all that matters to me at the moment, because we've had the money there, we've spent the money, and the manager's not performing in my eyes. But he's not being pushed to perform anymore. But realistically, as Arsene Wenger, I think he would want to do his best that he can. But it's just a vicious circle at the moment, isn't it? It's a struggle from top to bottom.
Yeah, the most depressing part about this season for me would almost definitely be that defeat to Watford. I think that hurt even more than the Chelsea game, because the Chelsea game I half-heartedly expected going into it that we'd lose that. But Watford at home, I really did not see us losing that game. I really thought, out of those two games against Watford and Chelsea, what game are you more likely to get 3 points against? And we've come out of it with no points to our name. And that was I remember just standing at Highbury and Islington Station that night in the pouring rain, just thinking, it's Groundhog Day. It's happened again. It really does get you down. It really is horrible. And as you say, we are the fans, the people that are suffering. But I mean, let's open it up to the rest of this season, because we're 12 points off Chelsea now. We're still in the FA Cup. We've got at least something to look forward to in that trip to Sutton away. I mean, that should be for whoever goes. That should be a nice away day. It should be enjoyable for us on TV, presuming that we win. Although I am a big part of me is worried about that game. I mean, there is still quite a bit to play for this season in terms of domestic competition, but I think just the league, it's so crushing in a minute. You can't see much else changing. I mean, what do you anticipate for the rest of this season, mate?
We're definitely in a fight. We're in a massive fight, and you look at the teams in that top six. I mean, Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United. We're in a fight. We are massively in a fight, and I do worry. I look at our games: Liverpool away, Tottenham away, Stoke away. I mean, these are games where we notoriously struggle, and we've really got to turn something on. And I think the top four is in real danger this season if we don't get something happening sooner rather than later, because the club's so flat at the moment. You've got fans fighting each other in the way end every week. You've got people arguing at home games. You've got it's all so wrong, and we really do. Although the title's definitely gone now, we do need to pull together, and we have got to struggle. And the only worry for me is that if we do just float into the top 4 again, that the same situation happens and he gets another 2 years and we go through the same cycle. And me and you are sat here in 18 months' time going, so what does he say? And that's the worry for me. And when I look at this season, you talk about the Watford game, and I couldn't agree more. We were so disconsolate. We're so upset about it. But you're forgetting Liverpool at home. You're forgetting Tottenham at home, Middlesbrough at home. Like, these are all games. Even games like Burnley, we struggled. Southampton, we struggled. Swansea, we struggled. These are all games that realistically you're looking at. I mean, them games where we drop points, I name them there. We'd be only 3 points behind Chelsea now. And that's even with losing at the weekend. So that's where the frustrations lie for me. Them very, very winnable games, but we're in a big fight, mate. And we've got to turn up at the Lane. We've got to turn up at Anfield. And first and foremost, we've got to beat Hull.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one thing we can definitely agree on that we've been guilty of this season is focusing too much on what's ahead of us instead of what's in front of us. That was definitely the case against Watford, and with this game coming up against Hull, let's get on to that now. It's a massive game for us. It really is huge. A 12:30 kickoff on Saturday. We'll both be at the game. One that I'm not looking forward to in the slightest. I mean, it is hard to say with any enthusiasm that I'm looking forward to the rest of this Premier League season, because being 12 points off the leaders and fighting for a spot in the top 4, I mean, I can't get excited about that. I really can't. I mean, I'd say I was a little bit more enthusiastic when we won at Newcastle, and then we won at West Brom. I mean, that was a bit crazy back then when I was a bit younger, a bit more naive. But now it's just with the funds that we've got, with the players we've got, you want to see more from this squad. You expect more as a fan paying going to these games. But coming up against a very decent Hull side, it has to be said, struggled for large parts of the season under Mike Phelan. But now they've brought in De Silva, who's done a real superb job with them. Made some good signings as well in the January transfer window. They've got that wonderful victory over Liverpool, beating them by 2-0. I don't think this is going to be an easy game on Saturday. What are your thoughts heading into it?
It's one of those, isn't it? It's one of them games that we talk about time and time again that we make difficult for ourselves. And I just really, really hope we don't narrow the game up. I really hope we don't play into Hull's hands, because they're going to want to sit compact. They're going to want to do what Watford done. They're going to want to break. And not just that, teams like Middlesbrough tried it. They managed to keep us out for 90 minutes. Burnley, many teams. And these are the teams that we should be bread and butter. These are the teams that you go out, and no disrespect to them, I'm not slating them at all, because they have hit a good vein of form and they have done well since the new manager Silva's come in. But look, we're Arsenal Football Club. We should be batting these teams away. We should be going out there, all guns blazing, pace from the start. Let's go. Let's get 1-0 up early doors. Then they've got to turn around and go, okay, if we go at Arsenal here, you're looking at the pace we could have on the pitch. You could have Walcott, Sanchez and Welbeck waiting to pounce. And as soon as Hull commit, we're gone. And that's when games start becoming 4 and 5-0. And I'm not saying I need every game to be 4-5-0. I'm just saying games like that really are situations where we could take advantage of what we've got in our squad. But we've got to hit them early and we've got to hit them hard, because the way the feeling is around the club at the moment, and if we get to half time and it's 0-0 and we don't create many chances like we have been in recent weeks at home, and it could be a bit of a war zone if you excuse the pun. And also we're going into the Bayern Munich game after, and it's just a massive week again for the club. But we can't look ahead to the other games too much, because Hull is huge, like you say, and be in the early kickoff, get the points in the bag and make everyone else do the job. But mate, we cannot underestimate them. They're fighting for their lives. I just think though, if we beat Arsenal and go out and do what we can do, we should be comfortable here. But we said the same against Watford, and Middlesbrough and Burnley and Swansea, and it's just a recurring theme. And that's not just this season, is it, mate? We've seen teams come to the Emirates last season and do similar things to us. Even teams like Olympiacos come to the Emirates and just, do you know what I mean? It's so frustrating to see this repetition of results, and that's why it's getting us down a bit at the moment. But like you said, it's the first game in a long time I'm looking at, and I'm really, really not looking forward to going there. And it sounds very, very privileged of me to come out with such a thing, because there's so many people out there do anything to go and watch the Arsenal. But when you see the same thing happen and you can sort of preempt it, and you see the lineup come out and you think, oh no, not again, and exactly the same thing happens and we're in a dogfight right till the end, then that's when it becomes a bit too much. And that Watford game, like you said, was the result of that. So fingers crossed we turn up early and we do the biz.
I suppose the very, very minor positive that we can take from being out of title race in February is that we have now got a chance to blood a few of our youth players. The players who did so well in the game against Southampton when we beat them 5-0. I mean, I'd be looking to start maybe the likes of Maitland-Niles in this game. I don't think that would be a risk as such. He's performed admirably for the most part this season. And I mean, maybe this would be a good opportunity to reintroduce someone like Carl Jenkinson back into the team, a proper right back who's going to offer us that bit more width down the flank. But I mean, moreover, I just want to see us get a hole right from the start. I want to see us put in a convincing performance and get this game wrapped up in the first half hour. I know, as I say, it's not as privileged as that, but I mean, we've got the players to do it. We've got so much pace on the break. We've got so many dangerous men going forward in the names of Lucas Perez, Alexis Sanchez, Mesut Ozil. I mean, we just can't go into this game underestimating this whole City side because they've been solid this past couple of weeks, and De Silva has done a superb job. But as you say, we're Arsenal Football Club playing at home. I mean, if you remember last season when we did go on an absolute awful run of form when we went out to Barcelona in the Champions League, and then we had that really good performance away from home at Goodison Park. That was when we first really got to see Iwobi, and he scored on his full debut for the club in the Premier League. I mean, if there's going to be any slight positivity heading into the back end of this season, I would like to see us give a few players like Adelaide, Niles a bit of a chance in the team. And hopefully see a bit of freshness because that's what this squad needs. It's so stale at the moment. I'd love to see us going to that game on Saturday, lining up with Lucas Perez, Alexis Sanchez, and Theo Walcott. But a big part of me says that's never going to happen. I mean, we speak week upon week trying to predict the lineups, and everyone predicts really exciting teams. But let's be honest, none of them are going to play. None of them are going to play. We're going to start with Giroud, Iwobi, and Theo Walcott up front. It's going to be a game that'll peter out into the 60th minute. We'll bring Danny Welbeck on, maybe win 1-0. What am I saying? I'm being incredibly pessimistic going into this game. But yeah, I mean, what team would you like to see start this game, mate?
Oh, it does make me laugh because that's the predictability of the situation, mate. And that's the stage it's got to. But yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying about the youth, but right this second, we really are in trouble. And I think it's more. You look at the individual, I keep saying it, and we said it last week, we've got so many fantastic individuals, but realistically, Wenger needs to get the tactics right. He needs to get the system right that is going to get the best out of these players. And personally, I think with what we've got and what we should have done at the bridge and what we do when we're best, like the Southampton game, is we do open up the game and we just get wide and stretch the game and use our pace on the counter. And it gives the central midfield more freedom to do what they want to do. And I ain't got a clue what team he's going to play. I've not got a clue anymore. And like you said, it probably will be Olivier Giroud, but
I don't think it will. No, saying that, I mean, I was being a little bit sarcastic. I don't think Giroud will start this game. I think it'd be stupid to start Olivier Giroud. As good as Giroud has been, I think he evidenced off the bench at Stamford Bridge where his rightful position is, and that's not me being harsh to Giroud. I think he is an excellent, one of the best, if not the best option off the bench in the league. But we are a much better footballing side when we've got Alexis, Theo Walcott on the right, Mesut Ozil pulling the strings, and then, you know, I love Alex Iwobi, but I think we're much better with someone like now Danny Welbeck's fit. I'd rather have him on that left-hand side. And then, I mean, with Iwobi, I know that you've got a bit of scrutiny on him. I think he's so much better in that attacking midfield role. I think if we're going to play him, that's where he should be utilised more often. And I know that's never going to happen because Mesut Ozil's there. But if we truly want to see the best of him working in this Arsenal team, it's going to be in that central attacking midfield role. And it just goes back to the point that we've got so many options in this squad that aren't being fulfilled. We're not seeing the best out of certain players. And it frustrates me more than anything, the situation with Lucas Perez, because he should be starting. I'm rambling so much, but honestly, there is so much that's wound me up with Arsenal this season. There is so much that's got on my nerves. I mean, you look back to that game against Chelsea, and I don't want to keep recapping it, but we brought in 3 players over the summer for 100 million quid, right? Mustafi was getting pulled about all over the place. I don't think he had his best game in an Arsenal shirt. He's lost 2 on the bounce now. I don't think he's helped himself in either of those games. Granit Xhaka, our most expensive signing in the summer, got himself suspended for this game, and Lucas Perez isn't even on the bench. Where exactly are we going with this team? I see stagnation season upon season. Even if we do bring players in, it's bewildering. It really is bewildering, to be honest. But I completely forgot what I was going to ask you, to be honest. I mean, what do we do with the rest of this season now? I mean, the league is a write-off pretty much. As I say, we've got the FA Cup and the Champions League. What do you want to see from Arsene Wenger and his team going into these last couple of months?
Take the handbrake off that he always talks about. I mean, he always says about releasing the handbrake and all. If you come on, Arsene, just be the old you. Just be the old exciting, aggressive, attacking. Even if it's your last few months, what have you got to lose now? I mean, we got a chance in the FA Cup. We're going away to Munich in the Champions League. And by the way, that's why I think he will probably play Giroud, because he want to play that other team out in midweek. And like he done against Watford, he made so many changes. And for me, it's a risk and it's a danger. I'd rather play my strongest team and head out to Munich with a good performance. But yeah, I just want to see Arsene just be the old exciting, attacking, aggressive manager that I used to love and I used to every week dream about going to watch. And it's become painful, and it's not the same Arsenal anymore. It's the over-reliance on full-backs, the ease in which teams are getting past us. They're seeing our tactical weaknesses. They're just taking the mick out of us week in, week out. They know exactly what to do and how to do it and how to stop us. And I'd love to see Arsene just sort of go, okay, look, like you said, you look at that attacking wealth in there, and Giroud off the bench, and you've got Welbeck and Perez and Walcott and Iwobi, and the pace all over the team. You've got Mesut Ozil, the best number 10 in the world. And I just struggle to understand a lot of the things he's doing. Like you said about Iwobi, he was playing in that role at Chelsea for the first sort of 15, 20 minutes. And I looked at that game and I looked at our midfield and I thought the only player in the whole team that could get hold of the ball and dominate our possession and dictate the speed of the play was Mesut Ozil. And he was out on the left wing. And I thought, nah, what's going on here? And it's things like that I see every game, and I can't. I mean, clearly Arsene knows a hell of a lot more about football than me and you or anyone else, but I can't fathom what is going on with it. And I just want to see him go back to that, man, and excite me. I want to be excited for the rest of the season, because we're in a dogfight to finish in the top four now, and that is unfortunately the long and short of it. Spurs are looking strong. I mean, Man City are hitting back form with Gabriel Jesus coming in, and Liverpool are having a bit of a blip, but I'm fully sure Klopp will get them going again. And Man United are hot on the heels. They're getting results, and they're a bit iffy, but they're still up there. And I just want to see, even if it's for the last 4 months I ever see Arsene Wenger, I just want him to go out with that style that made him so famous and made our football club, the Arsenal way, so famous. Because the Wenger ball that we used to see, for me, doesn't really happen, and it happens in fits and starts if it does. And I'd just like to see the aggressive Arsene back and really go for it for the rest of the season. But that's just me.
I would love to see that away from home against Bayern Munich. I really would. I don't want us to line up against Bayern with a team that suggests we're inferior to them. And, not get into a debate about whether we're better than Bayern Munich. We're certainly not. But if we go into that game believing that we can win it with the players that we've got in abundance, in the pace we've got in the team, if we do line up with Walcott, Alexis, Welbeck, Ozil in behind, and I keep mentioning that front four because I think that is going to be the four that will see us to the end of this season if utilised correctly. And that game against Bayern, if we put in a really strong performance, I mean, I'd like to say it could be a turning point for this season. But the fact of the matter is, I mean, even if we lose in Munich by putting a good performance, etc., there's not a lot left to play for this season in terms of the league. As you say, getting a top four finish is something we've all become accustomed to in recent years, which is sad because we want to see something different, and we are bored of being out of the title race at this stage in the season upon season. But a couple of years ago, we'd have been out of every single competition at this point in the season. At least we've still got the FA Cup to cling on to and maybe something special in the Champions League. But I do want to touch briefly on a certain Mesut Ozil because his name has cropped up a lot in recent weeks, well, especially after that game against Chelsea. His performances have becoming under the spotlight a lot more because people say he's going missing, he's not working hard enough for the team, etc. I don't think he's being helped by the players around him in the slightest. I don't think he's been given a disciplined enough role in the team. He hasn't got a defined role. The same with Alexis Sanchez, really. Neither of them, for me, did anything to particularly stand out in the game at Stamford Bridge, but I don't really want to highlight them because they were just as poor as anyone on the day. Do you think they'll sign contracts? And, I mean, are you hoping that their performances will improve within the team?
It's such a difficult situation because clearly Mesut's come out many times and said how much he admires Arsene Wenger and all that. And and Alexis as well. They put their trust, and let's face it, they left massive clubs, and whether the circumstances, whatever it was, they still, especially Mesut Ozil, he took a massive leap to go from Real Madrid to a club who hadn't won a trophy in 9 years, and he put his trust in Arsene Wenger. And part of me thinks he was sold a bit of a dream, which is gutting to say.
Well, we've all been sold a dream, haven't we?
Well, yeah, I suppose, mate, yeah. But and then for the next season, see Alexis come in. But with regards to Mesut Ozil's form and performances, I just feel... Do you know, I watched the other day, I watched a video of... it was like a compilation of Mesut Ozil in El Clásicos, and the bloke just used to run the show. But he was surrounded by a formation with runners and people that would move and play the ball off him and 1-2s and be in the right areas and provide width. And
saying that though, we did see that at the start of the season when we had that more defined setup. It was the first time in a long time that I actually saw a front four from Arsenal that I could believe in. Iwobi on the left, Alexis up top, Walcott on the right, and Ozil pulling the string. That's when I first thought, okay, this is the Mesut Ozil that was playing back at Real Madrid. He looked so suited to that role. He wasn't getting assists, but his general play and the goals he was getting as well. Let's not forget that. I mean, what happened there? That front four just seems to have gone missing. I know we're actually saying that it's the front four that started against Chelsea. So, you know, it just shows how much this team has degraded, really. But no, get back to the point about Mesut Ozil.
Yeah, well, I thought it was more of a 4-3-3 at the start, like you said, against Chelsea. And especially with what Ozil was out on the left, but I think earlier on in the season, we were seeing Mesut, the way he adapted his game to become almost like a 9.5, like sort of running beyond Alexis. And where Alexis was dropping in, Ozil was using his intelligence to get him beyond. But if I look at Mesut Ozil as a footballer and the qualities I know he's got, personally, I'd have him sat deep with a three in front of him with Sanchez, Walcott and Welbeck just rotating like absolute nutcases. He'll have movement from absolutely everywhere. Just make sure he's protected and we're solid enough behind, which is certainly doable. Don't be relying on full-backs because Mesut Ozil he's not a guy that should be running the channels and trying to find space with our wingers coming in on his toes. That's not Mesut Ozil. He's one of the best creators, if not the best creator in the last sort of 10 years. He's got more assists than Lionel Messi, the best player ever to live. I mean, it's phenomenal. And you can see his chance creation, his intelligence, his awareness of space. His game is built to be that main man and get runners in and around him, and we're just not utilising him. And it all stems back. We can talk individuals till the cows come home, but it all stems back to getting the right system to suit these players. And I look at it and I think I know what I want to see, and I'll build it around Mesut Ozil. And like I said, that interchangeable front three with pace, power. And once you go up ahead of teams, they know in the back of their mind, as soon as they lose that ball, we're gone and we're done. And Ozil's a dictator. He's someone who wants to be in possession in the middle of the park. He picks up pockets of space. He turns and moves the ball. Very simplistic. And we ain't allowing him to do that. And we're crunching ourselves, killing ourselves. And as a result, we're killing Ozil. We're killing Sanchez. We're killing Walcott. We're killing Ramsey. We're killing Giroud. If I cannot name a player at the moment in our squad who is benefiting from anything we're doing, not one player. Coquelin's struggling of late. Every single person, Monreal's been exposed this season. Every single man to a man is struggling. And that's when you start questioning higher, mate. But I'm not too worried about Mesut Ozil's form. I'm very, very worried about Mesut Ozil and Alexis Sanchez leaving our football club. And that is why I think the biggest thing we need to do is decide what is going to be happening next season very, very soon. And they need to be told. But if they turn around and go, look, we want to leave, then let them leave. End of. No one's bigger than our football club, and we can move on and we'll find someone else. And if we get a new manager in, we'll find someone else. But hopefully they stay, and in the ideal world, we'll get someone come in with fresh ideas and a fresh approach, and we'll start seeing the world-class players that we know we've got performing week in, week out to a consistent level against the biggest clubs in Europe. And that's what we strive for, really. Yeah,
without doubt. And here's hoping whatever happens with Arsene Wenger that Alexis Sanchez and Mesut Ozil will continue Arsenal Football Club. And I mean, they have given their best years to this club, and they've still got definitely a couple more, well, quite a few years ahead of them, you would hope. So, I mean, hopefully they're signed down for the longevity of their careers. But, I mean, it's hard to argue if they do want to leave, because they are players that are deserving of winning titles. It's not just money with them. They are players that are worthy of winning leagues. But, I mean, that's a totally different debate. let's talk briefly about that game coming up against Bayern Munich on a final note. It's a game that I'm quite looking forward to in a weird way, just in the sense that we've got nothing to lose. We can play an exciting team, whether we will or not remains to be seen. But how do you anticipate that game going?
I think you hit the nail on the head when you said no fear, really, mate. Because what is the point in us being scared and worried? Year after year, we get knocked out at the same stage. I mean, it's just laughable that for once we won the group, we ended up with Bayern Munich. Sod's law, so be it. Let's go out there and prove why we won the group and prove why they were second. And like you said earlier, there's no one out there in the world that can turn around and say, yeah, Arsenal are much better than Bayern Munich, because that's absolute poppycock. But the fact is that, like you said, we have got a squad and we have got players with the abilities that can hurt teams. And we've seen it. Walcott, as a young lad, was hurt in Barcelona, one of the best Barcelona teams ever. And that's him as a young lad, and we know what we can do. We've seen us, like you said, go to the Allianz. Whether we were down in the first leg, we still went out there. We took the lead within minutes. Walcott getting to the byline, cutting it back, goal, bosh. They're in trouble. We get a goal, Koscielny, and then all of a sudden they're panicking. And even that year, if Gervinho had a touch on him, he was in. And I remember it like yesterday. And the Allianz is a massive pitch. It's a beautiful, best football stadium I've ever been to by a long way. It's an absolutely phenomenal place to be. The atmosphere is great. You're so close to the pitch. It's such an arena, but why be scared? Like you said, we really do need to start acting like a big club and going out there with no fear. And I'm not saying go 5 up front and, do you know what I mean, just be naive and get absolutely bashed 6-0. But let's play solid. Let's provide ourselves a base, and let's have the front three that we know that we can go and break quickly with pace, power, and speed. And Bayern will know that as well. And that's what they do, in a sense. They play with absolute pace. And we've seen people like Douglas Costa and teams like that and players like that really cause even people like Bellerin some damage with their speed. And just have no fear, Arsenal. And don't be silly. But like you said, tactically, what are we going to do? I don't know. I don't know what to expect for the rest of the season. And I'm even worried about games like Sutton, because this is the situation it's really got me into at the moment. I'm very, very down about football at the moment. And hopefully this week brings some bright sparks and we can get a result on Saturday, and we can go to Munich and really put ourselves on the map in Europe. And I'm not being funny. I know we had a far superior squad when we got to the final last time, but we knocked out, obviously, Real Madrid. We knocked out Juventus. We knocked out some bit. Villarreal were absolutely phenomenal at that time. And we went to all them places and we turned up. And we know we've got it in us. But has Arsene got it in him? Has he got the tactical nous? Has he got the intelligence? And can he go out there and really do it for us and get them 11 players really pulling the same way and doing everything that he wants us to do in the right steps to give Munich a game at least? But you've got to be optimistic as a football fan, but this probably now is the worst time to talk about being optimistic.
Yeah, I know, but if we go into these games against the likes of Bayern Munich not being at least a little bit positive, then there's no point supporting the team. I mean, as I say, I half-heartedly expect the worst against Bayern, but another part of me says, you know what, they're without Boateng, they're without Ribéry. They just drew 1-1 with Schalke at home, which absolutely fumbled my accumulator. But I mean, I do honestly think that we can. I don't know if we'll win the game. I really don't, but I think we're capable of getting a 1-1 draw or a 2-2 draw or even a 0-0. I'd bite your hand off for a draw, a goal-scoring draw at the Allianz. I'd love that. An entertaining game, a fantastic result coming back to the Emirates, and then all to play for back in London. It'd be it would set it up really nicely for a season that's not really lived up to much. It'd be nice if we could have a good run in Europe. But as always, we've come against Bayern. But we're due a win over them. That's the one thing I'll say. We've played them so many times, and we're coming up against them at a time where they're not in the best of form, really. Well, maybe that's a bit naive of me to say. They've had a poor result at home to a team that they should have beaten. We know all about that. But if we play the Arsenal way, if we play with the players that we've got, no fear going into this game. Just play the way we did pretty much against Olympiacos last season. That would be a good base to model this game off, because we've got nothing to lose essentially. And if we play the football we're capable of, then we can get something. But I think I'll wrap it up there because we'll probably explode at some point. Anyway, I'll just get your thoughts briefly, well, your predictions, as I say, ahead of that game on Saturday at Hull. At the Emirates, should I say, against Hull.
Good God. Oh, mate, we need a response. And hopefully we get the response. I'll back us, mate. I think we'll make hard work of it, but I think we might be 0-0 at half time. But I think second half will come out and get 2 goals and win 2-0 in the end. I hope we do see it through and then get a bit of momentum going into Munich.
Yeah, I'm saying 2-0 as well. Danny Welbeck, Alex Iwobi to get the goals, reigniting that nice little partnership they had last season. It should be an interesting game, to say the very least. I don't like the early kickoffs. Going to have to get up early for that game, but hopefully Arsenal will make it worth getting up for. I mean, I was saying to you before that I was really in 2 minds about going to that Watford game, and again, I don't want to sound too overprivileged, but I mean, that was not worth going to. That was awful. But I'm putting my faith in Arsenal this Saturday. I'll put them in the accumulator. We'll see what happens. Hopefully they don't let me down. But yeah, anyway, thanks ever so much for coming on at this late hour, and thanks to everyone for tuning in tonight. Fantastic viewing figures. A lot better than last time, actually. So thanks to everyone for staying up wherever you are watching this around the world. It's been fantastic for you to listen to our ramblings. I hope you've enjoyed them. If you haven't, then sorry, but this is how it is.
Yeah, sorry about us.
Anyway, cheers for coming on, mate. Really do appreciate it.
Top man. And, thanks for having me, mate.
It's a great little feature we're doing, and we'll try to make this a more regular thing. So next week we'll be discussing, let's hope, a victory over Hull and maybe something positive at the Allianz Arena. So we'll do that next. We play Bayern Wednesday, don't we? I think it's Wednesday. Yeah. Wednesday, yeah. So I mean, next Thursday we'll try and get one out for next Thursday. But I don't know why the viewing numbers are going up as we're drawing this to a close. But anyway, thanks to everyone that knew that's tuning in. Please do watch this back on the YouTube channel, and please do drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed it. As I say, thanks to everyone that's tuned in. Drop a like, subscribe to AFC Game by Game. My thanks again to Woz, and we'll be speaking to you very soon. Cheers.